welcome to this edition of Salima Speaks. You know, so many times in our lives, we allow people to make us feel bad about ourselves. The thing is, the people that are making us feel bad about ourselves, they feel bad about themselves. So you're letting an unhealthy person control your emotions. Don't do it. Believe in yourself and don't let anybody tell you that you're less than, because you're not. You're a wonderful person. Well, thank you so much, and we'll be right back. On my show today, I have another Philadelphia native, very interesting fellow. His name is Neil McNair. Hello, Neil.
Good afternoon, Sister Salima. How are you?
I'm great. And I just know a little bit about you, and you're going to tell my audience more about you. Like, for one, I understand that you went to Girard College.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know about that college. Like, I thought that it was a college for young black boys, but it's not. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Girard College is a private school, scholarship only, for boys and girls.
It is for girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at one time it was just for boys?
Yes, at one time it was just for fatherless boys. It was set up originally as an institution for fatherless boys during the pre-Civil War.
Oh, wow.
Civil War,
okay.
Right. And it was 1st through 12th grade.
Okay.
It's scholarship only.
And I understand that, so you got a scholarship to go there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how does that process work?
Initially, you fill out an application, and you come in for testing, and they interview you, and you take an IQ test, and they look at your finances because it's need based.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's need based. I'm not ashamed to say it. It's need based, and initially, when you come in, they test you. They give you an IQ test, and if you fit the criteria, and you meet the criteria as far as academics are concerned, your IQ, you get accepted.
So it's based on your IQ and your finances.
It's based on in order to apply, you have to have a financial need.
Okay.
But there are standards academically as far as reading level, math level.
Okay.
As far as whether you're on grade level, your IQ initially was tested. I'm not sure if they still test for IQ, but yes.
And I understand when it first started, it wasn't for actually African American boys, as I thought it was. It was for white boys.
Initially, when it was founded, we were not educated as a people.
Wow. Okay.
We had
and
not
when
yet
was that? When was it founded?
Steven Girard was here from France as a merchant and a mariner, and eventually a banker.
Okay.
And he worked during the outbreak of yellow fever.
Okay.
During the war, and upon his death, he willed that his monies be left for fatherless white boys.
Wow.
And then then Cecil B. Moore in the 60s.
So everybody thinks that only black boys are fatherless. So obviously, even back then, there were a lot of fatherless white boys.
And during the war, primarily men fought in wars.
Okay.
Civil War. So primarily, if you lost a father
during the war,
lost your father during the war, you had to go somewhere.
Right.
Now in France and in Europe, they were homes. They were work homes, work schools where you could go and live and work.
Okay.
Like an orphanage.
Right.
This was quasi orphan-like.
Okay.
In that it was in during that time, if you lost your father, you were an orphan.
Okay.
Because the primarily men were the breadwinners.
Right.
At least during that period of time.
Right.
So if you were an orphan, if you lost your father.
Okay, so how long did you go to the school?
I was a student there 8 years.
For 8 years. So from what grade to what grade?
I started in the end of third, beginning of fourth, and graduated in 1990.
So it goes from first grade to 12th grade?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your experience there?
My experience was very positive. Early on, I didn't have my father.
Okay.
So that
Did you know your father at all?
Yeah, I knew my father.
Did he pass away?
No, he's still around.
Okay.
He's still around. We have a very good relationship now.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah,
so when you were younger, though, he did leave your life?
Yeah. He was not as present as I would have liked to be. But we have a very good relationship now as an adult.
And what made that so? Because so many men, when their fathers leave their life when they're younger, they don't know the reason for it, and a lot of them wind up being angry at their father, and sometimes they can't even get back in the good graces of their father. So what happened there? How were you able to reconnect with your father?
Well, God puts people in your life, to fill holes, I believe.
Okay.
So, I mean, early on, I had a lot of good men in my life.
Great.
Girard provided that. My uncles.
It did.
My grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah, I had teachers and counselors and house parents that were men, and they were strong, and they taught me and took care of me. And my mother was very good in that she wasn't a stumbling block.
Right.
And made sure that we were available and I was available.
See, and I try to tell women this all the time. You cannot be the mother and the father. Boys do need a strong male influence in their lives. I mean, if the father is not there, find an uncle, find a cousin, find a neighbor, find some man that these boys can relate to. And a lot of times women can do that, but for some reason they choose not to. So you would agree with that a boy does need a strong man.
In my experience with children, I've been working with children for years.
Okay.
And coaching and working at Girard College in several capacities. In my experience, children learn from modeling.
Right.
And I can't teach a woman how to be a woman.
Exactly.
So to some degree, I do believe, women do a great job, but boys need to learn how to be a man from a good example.
Yes, I totally agree. So now you threw in there that you're working at Girard College. So how did that happen?
I mean, I was as a college student, needing a residence and a job. I wound up applying as an alum, and some good people chose to invest in me and trust me.
Oh, so now you live there on campus?
Yes.
Oh, now I didn't know that. So do the students live on campus?
Yes, Girard College is 5-day boarding.
5-day.
Sunday through Friday boarding.
Oh,
so all the students reside there 5 days a week. Yes.
Okay, so on the weekends they go home?
Yes.
Now you said orphan. What if they don't have a home to go to? Can they stay there?
These days, our orphans are generally grandparent.
Okay.
Grandparents taking that custodial parent role.
Really?
Those are the orphans of these days. If they're not in placed in foster care but all the students that reside at Girard College, my understanding, have some place to go on weekends for the most part.
Now, when did they start letting girls in?
My understanding, girls came in the mid-'80s.
Now, how do you feel about that?
Initially, it was hard to take because I believe part of the draw with Girard College initially was that I was able to get through school without the influence.
Exactly.
Without the influence.
Exactly.
That kept me out of a lot of trouble. That kept me focused on my books and my education and my sports. And it was a great help.
Okay.
But you do your best with what you have, and it's still a great help because it takes you out of the public school system. It gives you an environment where you can be most effective. And
so now as far as the public school system, Girard College obviously is much better. What is the comparison?
Girard College is a private school, a private institution. So, although we do participate athletically with private schools and public schools, the standards of education academically are more challenging, more rigorous.
So now the same like books and things that they use in public schools, they don't use in Girard College?
No, Girard scribes to a different curriculum.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you think it's harder? Or is it more challenging?
It's definitely more challenging.
Okay.
Definitely more challenging.
And still the students are all for that? Or have you ever had somebody come from public school to come to Girard College?
Normally that's where the students are coming from.
From public school?
From wherever.
So how do they adjust?
It's difficult. It can be a difficult adjustment living in a boarding school.
Okay.
Because it's not now it's your home 5 days a week.
Right.
So, it can be an adjustment.
And you have to go to school. You can't make any excuse. I was late or didn't have my lunch money or something like that. You have to be there.
Yeah. I'd say that's the plus.
Okay.
That's the plus.
Now, are the parents supportive there?
My experience, yes, very supportive. The parents that I've had the pleasure of working with are very supportive. And understand what a benefit Girard can be.
Great. So now, what exactly do you do there?
I'm a house parent, a residential advisor there.
Okay. And what exactly do you do? What is that?
That's parent. That's parent in the absence of the parent. That's the 5 day a week when the children are at home.
Okay.
For the boys that reside in my dorm area, I'm their house parent 5 days a week.
Okay. Now, do you have any girls, or do any of the men have girls, or the girls are with the women?
No, primarily it's separated via sex. So
okay.
Yeah, the females have females.
When they go to school, are they together, the boys and girls?
At the grade level I work at, they're primarily co-ed.
Okay. So
co-ed.
the whole school is now co-ed.
At the elementary level, all the classes are co-ed. I'm not sure if middle school or high school is.
Okay.
But I believe at elementary level, all the classes are co-ed by grade.
And I went to girls' high. And at the time, of course, I didn't like it. We had Central next door, so we could, still see the guys. But I think, of course, when I was younger, I wasn't for it. But I'm all for it now. I think that when you have a co-ed situation, is competition, and you have to dress a certain way, and the girls are trying to attract the boys. But when it's not co-ed, you don't have that competition. You don't have that. I think that the kids could learn better if they were separate, if it wasn't co-ed.
It could be, in my experience. I mean, I don't know better. I can't talk from better because things change, and I believe things change for a reason. But my experience, that was a plus for me.
Right.
That I didn't have. It was a different type of learning when I didn't have to focus on women.
Right.
When I didn't, as a young adult, as middle school or high school, it was easier to learn because I didn't have that distraction.
Right, because I wasn't always at Girls High. Before I went to Girls High, I was at university, and it was a big difference. But I found it better when I was at Girls High with only girls, So, and also you have other things that you do.
Yes.
So
yes,
let's talk about that.
Yes.
What is your business?
I am the creative director for a small branding and design company called McNair Creative.
McNair Creative.
Yes, ma'am.
And what exactly do you do?
We assist small, large nonprofits and businesses and entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, build their brands by designing and crafting, custom brand identity packages, logos, business cards, stationery. We do it all. We do magazine upstart. That means I may take a magazine concept from a client and do a prototype and design a cover and a masthead and do thumbnails and templates so that they can run their business or run their magazine.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I mean, we do a lot of work with Entrepreneur Works down on Fifth and Walnut in the Boyce Building. We do a lot of small businesses that come via referral, where we'll come and we'll do everything upstart from business card, like I said, logo design, stationery, brochure, commercial, and traditional websites.
So everything that you need seems like some of the things that I need.
We're a one-stop shop.
Yeah, you can. So how would somebody get in touch with you?
We have our Facebook page is McNair Creative Branding and Design.
Okay.
Our website is www.mcnaircreative.com.
Okay.
And Twitter, we are McNair_branding.
Okay.
And branding is what we do. I mean, it's a different, and ironically enough, branding isn't just graphic design, because you're looking at the projects from a larger scope. Whereas if you said I need a flyer done, I might do a flyer for you.
Okay.
But with every project a client comes in with, we treat that as the beginning of your brand.
Okay.
We give you a color palette to work with. We give you fonts, a font family to work with. We design it as if this is the beginning of your brand. So when you walk out the door, you walk out with all those things that the next designer or us can make your business cards from. So it's a whole different way of looking. It's strategically, it's your business presentation.
Okay.
We set you up for your business presentation. These days, the consumer is so much more savvy. They're looking at thousands of brands a day. Just with internet, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we're bombarded with images, logos, companies from this country, international companies. People are much more savvy about what they're looking at.
Exactly.
So it's even more important to come in with a good presentation.
So tell me, why should somebody choose McNair when they can choose somebody else like Vistaprint for very cheap?
You know what? I believe at the end of the day, I believe that websites like Vistaprint fit a need.
Okay.
And they're quick. and they're painless and inexpensive.
Right.
But I believe that there's always, when there's something free, there's always limitations to it.
Right.
And what I've seen in my experience with Vistaprint and other website companies similar to that, where you have a template. It's a template,
Right.
which means there are limits to how much you can customize it. You can make it your own.
Okay.
What we do is we make it yours.
Okay.
And we give you, branding and marketing and design. And people don't know whether you're in your basement or in your office on Market Street. And we believe you should know the difference.
Okay.
Your website shouldn't say I'm working from my basement or I'm home based.
So if somebody comes to you just with an idea, but they don't know where they want to go with it. They don't know what they want to do, like put on their business cards, or they just have an idea. Is that something that you could help them with? Can you help them?
Definitely. My wife and my partner, Darcel, she's great. She brings us
Shout out to, what's her name?
Darcel McNair. Shout out to Darcel.
Okay, all right.
Yes, ma'am. I gotta give her a shout out because she's our executive director and she keeps me on task.
Okay.
And make sure that we're on time and on budget.
Okay.
The important thing with it is when you come with an idea, and we believe we take the best of your idea, your message, your passion, and we package it for you in a way that you may not be able to.
Okay.
There are times now I have clients where I'm finishing their sentences and they're finishing mine.
Okay.
Because we work together in concert to help build brands.
Right.
And that's what we feel we're doing at every stage and every project.
Okay.
We're helping build brands.
That is fantastic. So now, do you have a lot of clients now? Are you just starting? How long have you been in business?
We've been in business for 15 years.
15 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Really?
15 years. I guess we're one of the best. I guess we might be the best kept secret.
You are. I've never heard. Well, now people are going to hear about you, of course, because you're on Salima Speaks.
God willing.
So yeah, that's amazing. And how about your marriage? How long have you been married?
We've been married 18 years.
Really? Tell me a little bit about that. Well, Salima Speaks, we talk about your personal life too, not just your business. So where did you meet your wife?
I met my wife at Community College of Philadelphia.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. We were students there.
How long did you know her before you married her?
Well, we met several years prior and had classes together, and then we reconnected like 4 years later.
Okay.
Some maturing had happened, and we met, and God blessed us. And we had a fairly we had a courtship of about a year and a half, and we were married.
Okay, so 18 years of a marriage. Has it been a happy 18 years?
I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's a blessing.
Really?
There's a lot of growth in it. And marriage is a difficult thing.
Yes,
it can be a difficult thing, and if you're not coming in with the right perspective, it can even be more difficult.
So, what do you think is the secret to your 18-year happy marriage?
Patience, forgivenness, and understanding.
Wow. Okay.
Because we're going to do things that we need to be forgiven for.
Right.
And then things are going to be done that are going to need to be forgiven, even the small things.
Right.
You can't keep count. You can't keep score.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest secret. And coming in honest.
Okay.
Honesty is always easier to forgive.
Now, do you have children?
Yes, we have one.
Children?
We have one.
One child?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old? Boy or girl?
Boy.
Okay.
He just turned 17.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about him. What is he doing?
Mercy.
What is his name?
His name is Neil.
Neil. Okay.
Yeah.
Like his dad.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. She felt the need. I wouldn't have done it, but she named him after me. That was a blessing.
Okay.
That was huge.
Okay.
I
don't know. I think that especially the first son should be named after the dad. I named my daughter after me, but I think that with the male bonding thing, I think that a man should have, a legacy. I think his son should be named after him. So tell me a little bit about young Neil McNair.
And he's gonna be mad that I'm putting him out there, of course, because I wouldn't know. I mean, he's an honor student at Central High School.
Great.
Great. He's a senior this year. He's a blessing.
Okay.
He plays tennis. He's very much into tennis and into what he's into. He just was inducted into the National Honor Society.
Great. Fantastic.
Yeah. So it's huge.
So now you weren't raised by both parents though?
No.
Okay, but he's being raised by two parents. Do you think that makes a difference?
As I said, God gives us what we need if you look for it. Sometimes if you don't look for it, but I knowing what I know, having had my experiences, I couldn't have it any other way.
Okay.
I would be there regardless.
I think that honestly, people that come from two-parent families, I'm not saying that all of them are perfect or whatever, but they have a better start in life because you have both parents there in the home. You know, so many people think that they don't need both parents, or girls don't need a mother or father, or boys don't need a father, or girls don't need a father. But that's not true.
Yeah.
You know, everybody needs both parents.
Well, my experience, especially in the youth that I've worked with, they crave that. They crave it, and they crave positive male encouragement, positive male influence.
They need that.
They need hugs, they need love, just like any other, and male love.
Right.
And good, like I said, good examples and role models.
I truly believe that, you know, because so many young guys don't have that, so they don't know how to model themselves. They model themselves after grandmother, after their mother. They don't know how to act like young men because they haven't been taught how to be a young man. You know, so I truly think that's very important.
I do, and my mom did a great job of trying to make me responsible and accountable, and I believe that in her wisdom, she knew that I would probably need Girard College.
Really?
And she asked me, and it was my choice.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, she asked me.
Okay.
She said, you know, is this someplace you want to go? And I said, they're gonna read me stories. I heard they're gonna read me stories every night. Now, you know, I was a kid. They're gonna read me stories. I saw pictures in the brochure of sitting around a fireplace reading. I said, they're gonna read me stories, and I was down.
So you, even as a child, you like to read stories?
Yeah, I was down. If they were going to read to me, I was down.
Now, is that something that your mother did?
Yes.
Your mother read?
Yeah, and in turn, that's something that I do.
I think that's so important. Now with all these computers and cell phones and laptops, people don't read to their children anymore. Children don't read books anymore. You have to
disconnect. You got to read.
You have. My daughter has, with my grandchildren, if they're on their notebook or the computer for an hour, they have to read for an hour.
Well,
if they're on their computer for an hour, they have to study for an hour.
That's a good balance.
So as long time, if you want to be on a computer, that's how long you have to study.
Well, we disconnect, and we as parents we disconnect, and we make sure our son disconnects. And as a house parent at Girard College, I make sure that those students disconnect. They have access to the computer, but that is not their main source of stimulus.
We
get out.
Very good.
And they need to be outside. They need to read.
Do. Yes, they do.
They need to be sitting, being quiet, reading and learning. You know, and that's important.
Exactly.
You know.
And you know, it's crazy because I see so many mothers now on cell phones and not paying attention to the children, and the children are vying for their attention, and then they'll fuss at the child. Leave me alone. Just say I'm on the phone. Miss, your child is more important than that phone call. You know, so you're right. We need to disconnect, and we need to talk to each other more. Like I don't even let my children, don't text me. Are you serious? You better call me. Let me hear your voice. But so many people, and you know, it's crazy. I found even older people now are doing that.
Disconnecting. Yeah.
You know, it's so crazy because I'm from the old school. I'm old school. I still like, you know, talk to me on the phone or whatever. Don't text me. But I found a lot of older people are into texting now.
Yeah, I mean,
even though they have to get their big glasses out so they can see, but they're into texting. It's so crazy.
I mean, the media and the computer it breeds connectivity, but it also breeds isolation because I'm texting you, so we're not really interacting.
Exactly.
You know, so you're connecting with everything, but you're really interacting with nothing.
Exactly. And it's crazy because I've had somebody, like, I would text them and he texts me back, "Why are you so angry?" How do you know I was angry? You can't see my emotions or anything like that. So you miss the emotional connection, you know. And like if my girlfriend had her boyfriend or her fiance quit her by texting her. He's like, "I'm done." You know, that's the coward's way. You know, instead of picking the phone or saying, "I want to see you," you know, they do it by text. You know, and I think so many cowards, honestly, do things by texting now.
Well, it's an easy way out.
It is.
It's an easy way out, and I believe that if it required a conversation to happen, it requires that conversation for it to end.
Exactly.
You know.
But now, of course,
And now, of course, they're connecting online.
Yeah, by online.
Now, I guess it's acceptable. I don't think it'll. And I think.
What do you think about that? Come to think of it, online dating.
You know what? I don't think that my wife and I would have survived if we didn't. I don't think we would have gone anywhere had we not connected.
Exactly.
You know. and gotten to know each other. I mean, then again, we also grew up in a different generation where we didn't have the cell phone initially, so it's easier for me to disconnect because I haven't always had this.
Exactly.
Where now this is all they know.
This is all they know. And I've done online dating. I've been on the last few months, and everybody just about that I meet that has an accent, they're from Africa or Jamaica. All of them are architects. All of them are widows. All of them have children by their dead wife. It's crazy. It's almost like they're reading from a script, and it's like I can tell in the first day or so what they're about. And some of them, I found out they're in Africa or Jamaica, and they have some kind of device that they can make you think that they're in New York, because a lot of them say they're in New York or whatever, and they're not even in this country. So it's like, people it's a big fraud, But the thing is, it must be working, and eventually, because I have a friend that does this, she sends people in Africa money. Or in Jamaica money.
You have to be careful. It's so easy.
But my thing is, when I contact them, I ask them to send me money. I do.
Mercy.
I do. Of course they hang up. They never want to talk to me again. But send me money. If you want me, I'll be your friend. I'll come and see you. Even send me $1,000. So they're like, you must be crazy. Hang the phone up. But we have to be so careful with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the lack of connectivity makes it so much easier to not be you.
Yeah.
And then, and people aren't checking. People aren't.
And like you said, it's isolation. Even though we can talk to people in Africa, we could talk to people in Europe, we could talk to so many different people, not physically talk, but talking on computer, typing, and we're getting to know these people, but we don't hear their voices. We don't hear the warmth. We don't, they may not even be who we think they are. They have a picture there, but that's not really them. That happen too. So we really need to watch that with our children. We really need for them to know that this is not the way to get to meet people. You have to have that physical contact. Even now in our day, most of the time you met people in clubs. You get dressed up, put your best on, you go to the club, you meet somebody. Now, guys don't even have to dress to get to meet you. It's crazy. But anyway, our time is winding down. But I want you to give your website again.
Our website is www.mcnaircreative.com.
And check this brother out. We have to support each other. And I don't think that we do that enough. I think back in the day, honestly, when you talk about black businesses, some of the black businesses were not up to par. So we kind of, we didn't like to patronize each other. But I think now there's so much competition out there. I think that black businesses are getting better. So we need to support our black businesses. And remember, thank you so much for seeing this edition of Salima Speaks. And don't forget, love yourself, love others, and don't forget to stretch. When Salima speaks,
I listen.
When Salima speaks,
I listen.
When Salima speaks.
Oh, you gotta listen, child.